Welcome to a video that's designed to save you time and money by walking you through the step-by-step process of installing your new GV parts and accessories. This is a general overview installation, so it doesn't matter which make or model motorcycle you have, these tips and steps should be exactly what you need for a proper install. Today we're looking at the GV engine guards. Before we get to the specific step-by-step process for this item, we have a couple basic tips that'll set you up for success. Tip 1. Did your GV parts arrive alive, or did you get a smashed in, bashed in box that looks like it was run over on the loading dock? If there appears to be any damage, refuse it and send it back to where it came from. Tip 2. Carefully open your new GV parts as if you knew you were going to return them, because mistakes happen and you might have to. Items that are returned in the same manner they were shipped are easily processed for the quickest turnaround and refunds. Tip 3. Once you've carefully opened your package and parts, make sure it's all there. Each part comes with printed instructions. The first page of those printed instructions is a list of everything you'll need to do for this install. So before you get started, make sure you have all the correct items and quantities. The best way to do this is to lay everything out and check it against the parts list. Another benefit to laying everything out is that you have to touch each part. This is a good time to look at each piece and check the threads to make sure none of them are damaged or improperly made. Tip 4. Make sure you have every tool you need before you get started. Page 2 of the instructions shows you which tools you'll need for this project. Depending on the instructions for each part, it may or may not call for a torque wrench, but you'll want to add that to your list of tools. Now, if there's one tip that'll help you avoid a headache, it would be this one. Tip number 5, keep it loose. Hand thread the bolts in just enough to keep them on, but don't tighten them. Keeping it loose will really help when it comes time to put other parts and bolts into place. That's it for our top tips to a successful GV install. Now here's the step-by-step process. So for today's installation, we're looking at the GV engine guards. Now these come in two different colors. One is a flat black and one is a stainless steel. For those of you that have not purchased one or the other, I thought we could hold them up next to the bike so that you can compare. All right, so now we've taken a look at both colors. We're gonna go ahead and use the stainless today for this installation. In step 1, if you've watched any of our videos, you're always gonna notice this as step 1. That is to line up your mounting points, and here's why. When you first go to put this engine cover on, you might go, how come this hole isn't going and connecting with that? But then you start to place this over here and you start to find exactly where it's supposed to go. And that's why we line this up. We wanna know where these bolts are going and how this piece is supposed to fit before we start trying to put it on. So another piece that this install is a mounting bracket, and we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna check our mounting points so I can see that if I go there and there, that's exactly what we're looking for. All right, so now that we've lined up all of our mounting points and we have a really good idea of exactly where things should go, we're gonna move on to step 2. Now, remember, this is a general overview. This is not a bike-specific installation. So yes, today we're working with the BMW R1200 GS, but this step-by-step process will work for your maker motorcycle. You may not have these exact 2 bolts right here, but you may have something similar to it. But we're gonna take you through and show you exactly how to get this done. Step 2, we're going to remove these bolts. All right, so a lot of motorcycles do have an engine mount right here, which is what we have. So we just pulled 2 bolts out. What you don't want to do is you don't want to go and pull the other 2 bolts out on the other side. So you can only do one side at a time. So first we're going to take these out, and then we're going to install our mounting plate. We're going to put the bolts back in before we go over to the other side and start pulling bolts out. So using the hardware that comes with the kit, we're going to replace our 2 bolts that we just pulled out with these 2 long bolts that were included. And we're going to go with the short one up front.
So if you've watched any of our other installation videos, you're gonna hear me say, you know, keep it loose. In this case, with this mounting bracket, we don't wanna keep it loose. So we're gonna go ahead and tighten this all the way down. We're also gonna recommend a torque wrench here. If you need torque specs, they're actually on our website. We're gonna pre-assemble the expansion nut. So this is pretty easy to do, right? So you've got your slits here, you've got the expansion nut here. It's a little, you can see it's a little slope. That's going to drop right down in there. This is gonna come up through your left mounting point, and then you wanna keep this loose. Don't crank on this, don't get it too hard. You just wanna set it in place because this is what's gonna go into the motorcycle. So for this lower engine guard, it's best to start with this top left mounting bracket. All right, then we're gonna go to the top right. And now your two lower points. All right, so we kept it pretty loose up to this point and everything went in exactly how we wanted it to go. Now it's time to tighten it down. You can see when we pre-installed the center bracket for the upper engine guard. Now your bike may not even have a center bracket, or the one that it will have could look very different, but the idea is the same. We're going to take the upper engine guards from both sides and bring them together here in the middle. So now we have our lower engine guards installed, we can move to the upper. Now, just like the lower, I'm going to start by checking my mounting points. Just like our lower, we're going to pre-install the expansion nut. Keep it a little loose. All right, so it's best to start with this lower mounting point so that it gives us the flexibility we need when it comes time to connect to the upper. Just remember, keep it loose. All right, now that everything's in place, go ahead, crank it down. All right, we've installed our lower and our upper, and now we're gonna do the exact same thing to the other side.
If you run into any problems with this installation, call us from 9 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time at 704-679-4123. When you're looking for the absolute best in adventure touring parts and accessories, you'll find it right here at GV USA.